a Lamborghini and a Corvette, the Corvette, I believe, registered to Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice, decided to drag race.
Look at this.
And then leave the scene.
Yeah.
So the latest, as of about 10:15 Eastern on Monday, April 1st, talk about April Fools, literally. The latest is that Rashee Rice has retained counsel. And I believe the police are still looking for him. But the latest is that he's retained counsel. First of all, thank God it wasn't worse. It was a 6-vehicle crash. No fatalities. Some injuries, but doesn't seem to be catastrophic injuries from what we know so far. Stupid doesn't begin to describe this. And there were a whole lot of, Henry Ruggs references on social media. And we just finished talking about Brett Reed in Kansas City and him getting that slap on the wrist. And quite honestly, the slap on the wrist that he got is part of the reason in my mind why there was no fear of consequences in Rashee Rice's or his friends' mind. Now, again, we don't know for sure that Rashee Rice was behind the wheel, just in the interest of accuracy. We don't know for sure that he was the one driving. But again, one of the cars was registered to him. And the only reason he would need counsel is because he knows he's in trouble. Whether he was driving, not driving, left the scene of an accident, regardless, there's some trouble attached to him. But, this is why I tell Savannah to be careful. It's other people. Like, why are we so selfish? Like, why are we so selfish as a society? Whether it's, there are a few things that grind my gears more than drunk driving and reckless driving.
Right.
Because it's such a selfish act, This just pissed me off, something serious, man. To watch this kid and these guys, not even kid, this grown up. And there was a 4-year-old kid involved. And again, Brett Reed just damaged the life and forever changed the life of a little girl when he got behind the wheel drunk, leaving the facility. And here's Rashee Rice, allegedly, or somebody in a car registered to him, drag racing. It's just dumb. And the punishment for me can't be harsh enough. Because the reason why it's not going to be harsh enough is because it wasn't worse. If it were worse, if somebody had, God forbid, lost his or her life, they'd be throwing them under the jail, and the league would be throwing the book at him. Now, I know it's still early in the process. Who knows how hard the league comes down on him? But they can't come down on him hard enough in my mind. Or anybody connected to this can't be punished hard enough. Again, whether he was driving or not remains to be seen. Anybody connected to this can't be punished enough. And too often the punishment does fit the crime. As in, since nobody was hurt or nobody was killed, or nobody was hurt, catastrophically, or nobody was killed, the punishment isn't often all that harsh. As opposed to if somebody were, like I said, it'd be a whole different ball game. But yeah, I'm blown away at the stupidity involved here. This happens every day. We're talking about it because it's a professional football player who set a rookie record for receptions in the postseason, because it's the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, their number one receiver, wide receiver. Sure, that's why we're talking about it. This happens all the time. But man, I just wish people would wake up from this kind of dumb shit, honestly. And because that could be anybody's family member in any of those other 6 cars. That could be any one of us driving along, minding our business, and somebody decides to drag race. That could be one of our children in a car driving, minding his or her business, and somebody deciding to drag race. Man, this is just like, this is disturbing, to say the least, Michael. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Even though it could have been worse.
And you mentioned what grinds your gears is drunk driving and reckless driving. And I guess we could put this in the category because this is something that I have to tell myself
Oh,
not
I know
to
where
get
you're
involved in. And you know where I live, okay?
Yeah.
You know where I live.
Yeah.
You know that they're first cousins. There's a family. If the nation has a family reunion, the cities that will be involved at one family reunion will be New York, Boston, and Philly at the same family reunion. From the same DNA, just like a little chip, little edge. Everybody got a little edge. You walk around, there's an edge. What? You talking to me? What'd you say? Got that little twitch. It's you're always a second away from it. So that's when you walk in the streets. That's when you're on the subway. Now imagine being in a car and somebody cut you off in traffic in Boston. You know how it is here. 2 lanes become 4 lanes. 4 lanes become 6. People just make up rules and make up lanes that don't exist. Everybody's on edge. Everybody's got somewhere to be. Their place they got to go is more important than the place you got to go. So get out the way. You're not driving fast enough. The whole thing. So there are times like on the road where I'm a little annoyed by people, and now my wife will say, "Let it go, let it go. Don't go up. Don't roll your window down and start pointing to people." Because the thing is, Michael, most of the time, that will just end in a nice little exchange of profanities. Well, you did this, you did that. Well, you're this, you're that. Okay, that's the end of it. But we've heard some stories how that has become a little fraught, how that has become a little fragile and crazy. And like sometimes people in these road rage incidents do things that you say, well, how could that happen? What is wrong? What were you thinking? In a lot of cases, and I don't know Rashee Rice at all, but in a lot of cases, good people are not thinking, and they look like a-holes. They come off that way. You're like, I mean, how could you put other people in danger? I'm gonna give you an example. A guy who went to, I'll give you an example. A guy who went to school in your neck of the woods. He's from Louisiana, went to Southern, played for the Cavaliers. I met him when he played for the Cavaliers. Bobby Phelps.
Yeah.
So Bobby, what I'm telling you, when I say that this is a prince of a man, I mean just a great guy. Really enjoyed, had conversations with him far beyond basketball, kept in touch. He left Cleveland, I left Cleveland. He went off to the, Hornets and played for other teams. I went off to Boston, kept in touch. I'd see him in Boston. We chat about family, kids, that kind of relationship. But he lost his life after practice speed racing on a city street in Charlotte.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, now, if you told me, if you had given me 100 guesses of somebody who would do something like that, he wouldn't have made the top 100. That just wasn't his thing. I didn't see that. And so sometimes I agree with you, and not making excuses for anybody. It is reckless.
No. I love where you're going with this.
And no, it's reckless. It is, and it's indefensible, it's inexcusable. But then there are stories. There are real stories that are tucked in there.
And people do dumb things. And honestly, Michael, I'm glad you took it there. I'm actually glad you took it there. It's not where I thought you were going to go. But I'll go down a similar path, because at the risk of living in a glass house and throwing bricks, or at the risk of, not acknowledging that but for the grace of God go I. I've been accused of being heavy-footed. Now, I've never drag raced. I've never drag raced in my life. I can say that. But I've texted while driving. Yeah. Does that make me any better than Rashee Rice, if we're being honest? Is that not selfish, if we're being honest? I'm better at it than I used to be. I try to take the phone and throw it in the back seat just so I don't even get tempted. But when you said remind myself.
How about talk to text? You don't talk to text?
No, I try not to do that either. But I'm saying but regardless, I'm saying to your point, none of us is perfect, you know, and people do make mistakes. I think I would put drunk driving and drag racing in a different category. But you're right. Sometimes you can be a good person and do a bad thing, not to excuse it. So no, I'm glad you put it that way, because if God forbid I got in an accident tomorrow because I was distracted driving, I would think I'm a good person who would have done an awful thing. And so there is some grace to be afforded to our fellow man and our fellow human beings. Having said all that, I guess I just should put the emphasis on the we. Why are we so selfish when it comes to driving? Because like you know that could have ended in a Bobby Phelps way. That could have ended, and again, I know the circumstances were different. That, like, a lot of people were unfortunately referencing Henry Ruggs yesterday. I mean, we've had this conversation before. There's no new things under the sun. Again, right in Kansas City, you got Brett Reed being irresponsible and forever altering the life and lives of a young girl and her family members. So the punishment must be severe. It cannot be severe enough. I don't care what didn't happen, what almost happened. Whoever was behind the wheel, whoever was in that car, whoever fled that scene, yeah, we get it. This might not be who you are as a person, but you did it. It's
part of the story.
You did it. Yeah, you were involved.
Right. It was like when people say, that's not me. No, it is you.
That's not me. But yeah, it was you. You were there. You did it. You did it.
Right.
It is you.
It's not,
yeah.
Maybe it's not 100% you, but it's 4% you. It's 3% you. It's something that's a part of your journey, a part of your story. It's in your portfolio, whether you like it or not, whether you're ashamed of it or not. Now, let me ask you, does it change the conversation? Because I don't know, and I'm sure this story will continue to be updated as we go along, as we speak. There'll be updates. Will it change your mind if it was a friend of, relative of, associate of Rice and not Rice himself?
Driving the
car?
Will that change
it a bit? Yeah.
Driving the car registered to him?
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's why. I mean, that's why I've qualified it every single time, and that's why I have an asterisk next to because we don't know next to recklessly race, because we don't know whether or not he was behind the wheel. Seems like, I mean, one of those guys in that picture looks like him. Seems like he was at least there and fled the scene, which is also problematic and illegal. Will it change it if he wasn't driving? Slightly. I mean, you know, yeah. I guess it's not as bad if you were behind the wheel, but you still sitting right. That person, like, honestly, the common sense should kick in even more. Like, bruh, I got too much to live for. I don't know about you, but this ain't it. You know, like, slow down in my car. You know, like, that's your car. You're the boss of that car. No. I mean, if you're drag racing, you're not thinking, I got too much to live for, because you don't think anything's going to happen. You think, because you want the thrill.
I got too much on the line.
Yeah.
I got too much. Yeah. I got too much on the line. I've got value. And my value is just going up. I'm a rookie. My rookie year, we won the championship. I was so bold in the Super Bowl. At the end of regulation, I went up to Patrick Mahomes and said, "You missed me."
Yeah, right.
Hey, man, I was open. Mahomes was like, "Sit down, rookie. Shut up."
I mean,
get ready for overtime.
Well, no, I'm glad you kind of transitioned to on the field, which by comparison, we're literally talking about life or death. On the field is relatively trivial, but nonetheless, talking about a young player with a bright future, like I said, set the record for receptions in the postseason. Yeah, seemingly bright future. Patrick Mahomes, #1 receiver, like that'll take you a long way. And blowing it, maybe, potentially, possibly blowing it for what? For a drag race?
Well, but you know what? I think, doing something stupid, it is stupid. But if I know the NFL and I know the Kansas City Chiefs, he's not blowing his career.
That's fair.
He's not his career. His career will not be over.
That's fair.
He will not be released. He will not be traded. Hell, he might not even be disciplined. Not strongly.
Yeah, not strongly enough.
Maybe a game. Yeah. Maybe a game. Sure. Prove me wrong, NFL. I doubt it.
No, you're right.
A game or two. Okay.
No, you're right.
So he's
going. I don't think he has a history with the personal conduct policy, and he's not a repeat offender. So you're probably right.
Right. So and they got good lawyers.
They got a good governor.
Joking about those NFL lawyers.
We know that they got a favorable governor. We've seen that already.
Oh yeah.
They got a fan in the governor's office. You know.
So, but that being said, even though I still expect him to be on the Chiefs, this is why I say, Mike, the three-peat, things change from year to year. And so we always think, we look at Patrick, hey, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. Nope, that's not enough. Having Patrick Mahomes is not enough. As great as he is, best quarterback in the league, one of the best quarterbacks. Count on one hand. I don't need more hands. I can count on one hand the amount of quarterbacks I've seen do things similar to or better than Patrick Mahomes. Not many. But still, if you're going to try to three-peat, the reason you get to a back-to-back, because your talent plus things went in your favor. Talent plus favor. Not a lot of defections, not a lot of trades or, different personnel. Some, but not a mass amount. But a three-peat, it's not just the personnel part of it. It's the focus part of it. It's everybody. It's the alignment. And a three-peat, now that we've won 2 in a row, hey, hey, we're talking about players on the roster. I ain't talking about the top 5 or top 10. I'm talking about like number 26 or 27 on the roster. Hey, let's talk about my contract. Let's talk about my contract. Let's talk about my role. I can do more things. I'm being held back. I'm being overshadowed. Or maybe not bitterness at all. I've won my 2. I got 2. I'm good.
Disease of more, right?
Let me go.
Isn't that Pat Riley?
Yeah, let me go somewhere else.
The disease of more. That's Pat Riley, right?
Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot that comes into it. So I'm saying for you three-peat people, I'm talking about you, Michael Smith. You three-peat people.
Yeah. I mean.
I'm betting against you. I'm betting against you just because it's pretty much impossible. I'll say it's pretty much impossible. Just things. It's just not gonna work that way. It's not gonna fall in line like it always has. The same ethic, the same spirit is not there in 2024 that was there in 2023. It's already gone. So now something else needs to be created.
Unlikely, far-fetched, or the odds against
Impossible
it? Yeah,
strong.
sure.
Impossible strong.
No. And listen, since we're talking just strictly football here, Rashee Rice or not, I mean, they did sign Hollywood Brown. I know that doesn't impress you, but they did sign Hollywood Brown. And this is happening.
Comedy. You do a comedy on Monday, huh?
You don't want this to ever happen. But if this is going to happen, it's happening prior to the draft, in which there's the deepest receiver class in memory. So, I mean, they were expected to address receiver anyway in the draft. So, I would think this might hurt Rashee Rice more than it hurts the Kansas City Chiefs, if you're just talking professionally speaking. But you're right. He may not be punished at all, or if he is, minimally. But more than anything, I hope he learned his lesson. And most important, Michael, just going back to the parental part. Now I'll let you get your thought off. Do as I say, not as I do. I hope more people learn a lesson from him. Don't learn the hard way. Learn if you're young and you're a young athlete or just a young person behind the wheel and you're thrill seeking, learn from this as opposed to learning from your own experience. I know experience is the best teacher, but in some cases I'd rather learn from somebody else's experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes what my man Cujo Goody said, sometimes experience is the best teacher until you get your own plate. I hope you don't mind me eating off of yours.
That's good.
I'm good. Yeah.
And in a way, I have to admit, I can't relate. Now, am I issues on the road? Some of my cars, Honda Civics, and Priuses.
You also had a with the back to the speeding thing though. You also had a friend of yours tell you something that you told me that I use a lot. That Michael Holley's travel plans don't include other people.
That's right.
That could help to mitigate the speeding.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to get.
Yeah,
I should be there in 8 minutes. So 8 minutes. Oh, forget about lights and traffic and everything else. I
like
think
you
it should be 8 minutes.
collateral or something. Yeah.
So yeah, get out the way. But I was going to say last thing on the football part. You said things can change. Now we're both old enough to remember when Tyreek Hill was having some personal issues with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it looked like it was going to be over for Tyreek Hill. Before this was like 2-3 years before the trade. Looked like it was going to be over for Tyreek Hill, even longer. And they drafted Mecole Hardman in the second round.
An emergency, yeah.
Speed guy, and Tyreek Hill stayed with the Kansas City Chiefs. They won a Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill. Okay. Yeah. And Mecole Hardman never really became, what they thought he would be in Kansas City, although he did catch the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. But
that's a good call out.
These things can change quickly.
Yeah, but it's also not as easy to replace guys. Like, they hit on Rashee Rice, doesn't mean they're going to hit on the next guy. Like Patrick Mahomes wanted him. They developed the chemistry, got better as the year went on. That's not an easy thing to replicate.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.